Thanks very much. It's good to almost see all of you. So my task here is to talk to you about how to produce blogs without breaking your neck doing it, and how to get them out to the world so that you can get your message out. And I want to start by saying that I appreciate that there was a time in the history of blogging when it was the province of teenagers and sole operators writing meaningless blog posts about what they had done that day and about the great ice cream soda that they had or something like that. Those days there's still a lot of that out there, but there's a great deal of very serious blog posting going on out there. And it would be a mistake to think that blogging is childish activity. It's something that can be very useful and can try to help advance both the cause and people's career. And in the Human Capital blog of the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation that we run, we on a daily basis post very substantive blog posts that are targeted in an audience of people who care a lot about healthcare and healthcare policy and about the various research projects of the RWJF scholars. And we think it's a very substantive and worthwhile thing for folks to do. So I want to talk to you a little bit about about why to blog, how to write a good blog, who you can expect to reach with a good blog post, and at the end I'm going to try to persuade you that writing for the Human Capital blog is particularly worthwhile. So let's start with why blog. One thing that I'd suggest to you is that it is very possible to reach, I imagine a lot of you write a fair amount, often for an academic journal audience or for audiences of that sort. And one thing that's great about blogging is that you can reach a broader audience than that. Now that may or may not be something that you're interested in, but if it is, that audience is out there, as is the academic and policy audience. There are a lot of, we have, as you might guess, quite a bit of readership in the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation sort of scholar community of our blog posts. And so it's a good way to reach those folks as well. And the other point I'd stress is that it really needs to be time consuming. I'm about to show you a number of examples of blog posts that are in the range of between 500 and 800 words. And it's things that, I'm sure there are people who labor over blog posts and spend multiple hours doing them, but honest to God, I think it's something you can accomplish in 1 or 2 hours. So I want to start by showing you a blog post by Jesse Casita, who, as you see, is an APRN and an RWJF nurse faculty scholar. It's an 800 or so word blog post, and it's you'll see it there on your screen. It's a piece that is about, she works with some caregivers of folks with left ventricular assist devices. I'm sure you are all more familiar with what that is than I am, but her blog post was reposted with a pointer from somebody's Facebook page, and that in turn, connected to a Facebook community of people who had a particular interest in LVACs, many of them who use them. And so it helped him with his very precise target audience for his next bit of research that he was doing. He was able to collaborate with some of them to share information that he knew about how the devices worked or what the issues were with them. And they in turn were able to raise for him some issues of which he was unaware that helped him shape his next bit of research. So it turned out to be a very collaborative and very successful thing for him. This next one I point you to is by Karina Graves, who's a PhD with the RWJF Health and Society Scholar Program. She wrote a 755-word post, and we're going to show it to you now on the next slide, that was noticed by some of the honchos at HUD, and they tweeted her work. They called her in to get more information about it. They ended up putting her on an expert panel in Washington that they had created on the topic. So it was a way for her to reach out and find another, sort of expand her reach on the work that she'd been doing. And this next blog post from Manish Sethi, you'll see here, is on gun violence. As you may know, Manish is a scholar right there at the Meharry Center for Health Policy, and he did a Q&A with us this past November that had about 1,500 page views, which is a pretty good number. So I think it's about 3 times or so the average daily viewership for individual blog posts. So it obviously made an impact and got some attention from folks. And I want to point out here, just highlight for you that it's in Q&A form, which is to say that he didn't have to sit down even and write for an hour or two. We actually interviewed him, as I understand it, for about half an hour or so on the phone, and then did the draft of the blog post based on that. So it's just in sort of interview form. That doesn't mean that, I mean, we're not, I often say to people when I do interviews with them, I'm not a journalist. I'm here to make sure that the product that we produce meets everybody's objectives. And so you're going to get a chance, and this is the case of this, with this post, you'll get a chance to go back and look at the draft that we do and approve it. And if you want to change your quotes, feel free to do that, and so on. So, and then there are a number of other scholars whose works have been reposted on other blogs. That's one of the good ways that your blogs also can make further impact, is that they get picked up and reposted by other blogs. And we're pretty liberal about letting other blogs do that because we certainly don't feel proprietary about it. And if it's a blog that's responsible, we're happy to reach a broader audience. So this is one from Tamara Mendelson, who's a health and society scholar. She wrote a 600-word blog post about how yoga practiced by kids who are growing up in stressful environments can help them avoid behavioral problems. It was reposted on a blog that was run by the Neuropsychology and Education Services for Children and Adolescents blog. So very nicely targeted at a community that's interested in her work. And then this next blog post I'll show you is by Jason Coburn. Jason's a PhD and a recipient of an RDF Investigator Award in Health Policy Research. 658 words this past December. It's on health disparities and how that connects to the urban environment. And there were actually two blogs that picked this up. One of them is a Pittsburgh-centric blog called the Design Center. He's not from Pittsburgh, so I have to confess it's both a little bit of a curiosity why they were that keen on it, but they were, and it's one of the great things about the internet, that you discover new sources, new outlets. And then the other one was a blog that's called Planetizen, as in planet and citizen, that reposted it as well. And then this last one I show you is from Cheryl Chun, who's with also health policy scholar at Meharry. She had a 511-word piece that was reposted on the Teach for America blog. So reached all the folks who have some interest in that outstanding federal program. So now I want to move on to what it is that makes a good blog post, and try to prove to you that brevity is a virtue, and that in fact you can make an impact with that. We really look for blog posts that are somewhere in the 500, 800 word range. So, considerably shorter than your average journal article. Don't be thinking that you need to write a very large or very long document to be of use to our blog, or to any blog for that matter. We value brevity, not just because it's easy, but because it's what people will read. That's the medium on the internet, as you well know. Another thing that makes a blog post so short, brevity, important. Second thing I'd say that makes important is you really want to focus in on a particular thing. I know that's a talent that often comes to scholars, but there are folks who sometimes want to sort of describe the broader universe of an issue when they're writing a blog, and we try to encourage them to keep their blog posts pretty clearly within parameters of whatever the issue is that they're making, and make sure that they make a clear point as a consequence of that. Keeping it nice and sharp and nice and tightly focused helps a lot. Obviously, it's a different audience, and we encourage you to be mindful of that. This is not the folks reading your blog post. Some are a scholarly audience, but some are not, and that's one of the virtues of writing for a blog, is that you reach that broader audience. So we encourage you to keep in mind that these are not folks who bring to it the same wealth of information that you bring, or even that others in your circle of scholarship on different issues bring to the equation. So just be mindful of that. Point of view, this is an opportunity to actually make your case about something. If there's an argument that you want to make about an issue, if there's something about what you learned from research that you're doing that you particularly want to share, it's a good way to do it. And you should also write with a voice. This is, again, one of the differences from writing for journal articles, is that we encourage people to write with a particular point of view, and to write with a voice that goes along with that. So that can mean you can write in the first person in ways that you might not otherwise in journal articles. You can tell stories. You can bring in anecdotes that support the cause. We don't, we don't subscribe to the notion that that data is just the plural of anecdote, but we do believe that it's useful in illustrating the data if you can put a good story to it that drives home the points of people. It being the internet, we encourage people to include links in their blog posts that take people to more information on a subject. We discourage footnotes, although some folks feel that they must. We will push back a little on that, and then we'll give up if we must. But we would discourage you from using footnotes, in part because links can often cover that task. So look for things to link to. If you want to refer to some other study that you've done or some other work that you've done, you can have a sentence that describes it and then link to it so that if people want to learn more, they can do that. The other thing I'd say is you want to be clear about why what you're talking to them about is significant. And what I'm really saying there is that you don't want to start at just the tip of the spear when you're making your case. You want to give people, mindful that they're not experts in the issue, enough context to understand why what it is that you're talking about or what you're researching is going to make a difference in the world. You really want to make it tangible to readers by using, by first giving the context, but also using examples and anecdotes, data and stats sparingly. You don't want to turn into just a 550-word version of a data chart, but you want to sprinkle statistics and information in enough sufficient to make it compelling and authoritative. And then I'd also say to you that the Human Capital blog is there for you, and we very much want you to take advantage of it. We've had, as you've seen, several folks from the center who have done that, and we've been delighted to have their posts. And I'll tell you that in addition to the fact that we're always looking for blog posts because we publish every day, we'll work with you to make it work. And really, we'll meet you however far down that road that you want to be met. We will talk to you and sort of help you shape in advance, if you'd like, to help you shape what you might write, to sort of help you winnow through everything that you could write about to the things that you really want to focus on. Or we'll do an interview with you and write a Q&A for you if you would prefer to do it that way, so that we would actually do a 20 to 30-minute conversation that then we would sort of craft into a Q&A type blog that will actually use some of the things, most of the things you say, try to be, and certainly be faithful to what you say, but we'd also smooth it over and help make the answers to the Qs flow as best we can. And then you, of course, would have a chance to approve it and revise it as you see fit. If you do the blog post, if you write it yourself, and we certainly encourage you to do that, we will give it a gentle and friendly edit and then give you a chance to sign off on what we've done. So again, nobody's going to put words in your mouth. And then we will, once the thing is up, we will tell you about it. We'll promote it via Twitter. We will send, if you have folks that you want to be sure see it, that might be anything from, former professors, deans at your department when you're teaching, media that you talk to that you have some particular connection to, you want to give them more information about, old girlfriends and boyfriends, your mom, whatever you like. We will, if you give some email address, we will send it to them and tell them that it's there and give them a link to it so that they can see what you're up to and they can read more about the issue. So the last thing I'd say is that our goal in the blogging that we do is to reach a lot of folks, to give them a message that is that's meaningful to them, that doesn't take them an awful lot of time to read, that is that connects with them, and also to make this a modest effort on the part of the scholars who are doing the post or writing the blog posts. We don't want this to become an ordeal for anybody, and so we work very hard to be respectful of your time and not demand too much of a time investment from our authors. And that's what I have to say about blogging. Thanks very much.